Yeah, everybody, what's up? This is episode 7.
That would be episode 6.
Of the Ask a Jazz Dude show where Kadesh Flow comes through. Let's start the show. All right, everybody. What's up? This is Marcus Lewis, and this is episode 7.
Seriously, it's 6.
Of the Ask a Jazz Dude show with rapper, trombonist, and producer Kadesh Flow. So for the few people out there that don't know who you are, man, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, I'm Kadesh Flow. I am as Marcus said, a rapper, trombonist, and a producer, probably in that order from a mastery standpoint. I grew up in the state of Alabama, across the bay from Mobile, in a little town called Spanish Fort. Went to the University of Alabama, where I studied media production, kind of built my own major, ran away from music 3 or 4 times, and while I was working on my MBA, actually, I realized that I just had to do music finally after like the 4th time running away, and I really started going after it in a lot of senses. There was a 6-month period where I released a track on YouTube every week and really kind of built an online following there that led to some national gigs. Took a job in Kansas City, worked in Kansas City in various tech spaces for 4 years, and 7.5 months ago I left my full-time career in fintech to do music full-time, and now I'm touring and making albums and stuff.
Wow, man. So that's very cool. I always wondered why you came from Alabama to Kansas City. So for a job, that's cool, man. I'm excited for this show, man, because it's what's up, Sam Wiseman? Good to see you on here, man. Sam has got a show on KKFI that's coming up at 1 o'clock. So make sure to tune into that. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. All right, so yeah, man. So I'm happy for you, man, to see you out here doing your thing. It's good to see, young brother doing his thing. Well, I should because when people say brother, it's 10 years ago that was cool, but whenever I see a dude, it's I just met, they're like, yo, what's up, my brother? How's it do? I give them 3 more times to say it, and then I'm like, watch out for this dude, because it's through my experience, it's yeah, my brother, you know what I'm saying? So, now I just meant, a trombone brother or whatever, but you also.
I got you. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we're getting wild out here. All right. So, if you are watching, let us know where you're watching from. Man, the camera's doing some weird focusy stuff. There it is. Excuse me. So, let us know in the comments where you're watching from or what you're doing, and we'll bring your comments in. Start to ask if you have some questions for Kadesh. Just start to put them in the comments, and we'll try to get to as many of them as we can. All right. So from Alabama, tell us a little bit growing up. I think I read in your bio you started rapping and playing the trombone at 11.
Yeah.
So tell us how that all came to transpire.
So trombone actually happened. I love this story, and I don't tell it a lot. I need to tell it more. So I was in 5th grade in elementary school, and we had the recorder class. So I'm a 9-10-year-old or whatever playing recorder. It's terrible. It's squeaky and squawky and whatever. I don't know how that lady tolerated that many kids playing recorder. Elementary music educators are a special saintly breed of people.
Yeah.
First of all.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
At the end of the year, she was trying to see who wanted to actually be in band, the beginning band, and so she played all the instruments. And when she got the trombone, it sounded like fart noises. And I was like, oh, I want to be able to make fart noises. That's so cool. And I chose trombone literally because she slid it up and down and it sounded like fart noises to me. So the next school year at 11, I started playing trombone. 2 weeks after that, we were on the back of the school bus riding home. My cousin had made up this parody to the Destiny's Child joint, Say My Name, and he was joking on somebody. We were just roasting each other, and he said, close your mouth, your breath smells like onion, sour cream and Funyuns, need to close your mouth. Also a funny story for how I started rapping. So I made up a rap to that.
Oh, okay.
It was trash. I'm not going to do it.
So Joe Budden wouldn't approve?
No, Joe Budden would just destroy me on this.
What does he like approve of anyways?
Joe Budden is just angry, but I understand some of his angry.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I started rapping. So that was like 2, maybe 3 weeks after I started playing trombone. And as I became more passionate about both, they kind of have been in the same field for me. And the journey between the two is conflicted at some points, but it's really been more of a back and forth. It helped me to go after the histories of both and try to do right by both cultures and everything along those lines. And that's kind of what got me here. So it's pretty cool.
Cool. So you did play in band and did the whole thing. And then, like, when did you get to the point where you were like, I want to do this? Like, I want to,
Well, I guess it happened about 3 different times. So, I'd say like what got me in the rap is different from who made me want to rap, really want to take it seriously. So I got into rap because of the people that you might think about, like Lil Wayne and Jay-Z and Eminem and Nas and Pac and all these people.
Mm-hmm.
And trombone-wise, I was listening to a lot of J.J. Johnson. I was listening to a lot of Bill Watrous and Andy Martin and Slide Hampton and all those guys, Frank Rosalino. And I thought that I would take trombone seriously. I didn't feel like hip-hop was a good place for me because when I was in high school, that was really when the roots of trap music were taking effect and Jeezy was blowing up. And I think my sophomore year was when the Carter 2 came out, which I still think is Wayne's greatest album.
Right.
But it wasn't a place for a young, nerdy guy who started rapping in the church and and had like a lot of positive messages and watched anime all the time to have a place in mainstream hip hop. At the time, I didn't know a lot about underground hip hop, and so I just was like, oh, I'll just be a good rapper, but it'll be on my own time. I'll mix it with trombone. Maybe I'll start a band.
Right.
So I was heavy on the trombone thing. I was gonna go to Georgia Tech, had money to go. Alabama kind of just reeled me in.
Right.
Got a full ride, and I was going to do music, and I realized I wanted to do a bunch of other stuff, so I did this thing in Alabama called New College, which is an interdisciplinary studies program. You get a team of advisors and build your own major. It's a really amazing program.
Oh, that's dope, yeah.
And I went through that and really was studying a lot of jazz, but kind of on my own terms, and studying media, studying business, and all this stuff. There's that quote that says, if you're good at something artistic and you're good at anything practical, do the practical thing.
Mm-hmm.
Where basically they give you this idea in America that if you're only good at art, then you should do art because you have to. But if you're good at something else, do something else because it's safer.
Right.
So I ran away from music because I'm good at a lot of things. I was always good academically, blah, 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 blah. Put together a band my junior year, started playing shows, really got into that. And then I landed an internship at the Cannes Film Festival in the south of France.
Oh, crazy.
So the end of my junior year, I'm in France. My job as an intern was to be an assistant to the guy who managed all the event production for the American Pavilion. And so I was in all these panels with all these huge people when they talked about movies. I set their mics up and talked to them, got some knowledge from them, all these people like Ryan Gosling, Michelle Williams, all these huge people, James Franco, just ridiculous people. And there was a producer, and it's sad, I can't even tell you this guy's name. And it was just random, and I was taking a break, and I asked him if I could sit at his table to have some water, and he had talked to the lady who sponsored the program from Alabama, and I guess she had let him listen to my music, which I've always been a good rapper. My production was pretty terrible back then. And I've been fighting that battle ever since. But he was like, you're really good. You have a lot of potential. Your production needs to be better. What are you going to do? And I was like, well, I'm going to graduate. I'm going to get a job and maybe film like as a PA or something like that. Go to LA or New York, knock on some doors, try to build a little bit of a movement and catch a deal. And he was like, that's a terrible idea. And
at least he was honest.
Yeah, he was. I forever appreciate this guy. Long story short, like this is a guy who works on some major films, but he had some ties to the music industry, like knew Shawty Low and some other people.
Okay.
And he explained to me the concept of a 360 deal and how labels were losing money, because I didn't know much of anything about the music industry at this point. He explained to me how labels were losing money, so they started signing, especially MCs, to deals where they took a cut of everything that the MC did, period. Like,
wow.
It had nothing to do with them.
Yeah.
And he also explained to me how labels sometimes will sign you just because they're developing somebody who already sounds like you, and they want to keep you in the shadows to develop this other guy. And he was just talking about all the risks that were taking place from signing a deal now as an artist with no leverage. And he was talking about how Drake had leverage,
right?
When he signed with Young Money, and everybody was trying to sign him, like he had a bunch of leverage. So,
I don't know why it's doing that.
That really was like kind of a deterrent for me, because I was like, well, what do I do? I'm not in any kind of music market, so
right.
I kind of ran away again a little bit, and then I woke up in the middle of the night a few months later and was like, I'm going to go ahead and just do my MBA now. I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to apply for some schools. Got in Alabama's MBA program, tried to be a good graduate student of business. Didn't play any shows, didn't try to record, made the worst grades I think I've ever made. And started playing shows again. And basically, the final kickoff really was I was listening to a lot of Lupe Fiasco. I was ironically in Alabama listening to a lot of Tech Nine and a lot of Chris Calico. I find it so ironic that I live in Calico and in Kansas City and like know these people now, because I fell in love with hip hop for one thing, but I decided that I wanted to actually take a shot at rapping because I was inspired by Lupe, because he was kind of a unicorn at the time, being a huge nerd who rapped about nerdy things in a lot of his content, but who like went major and was huge. Tech for the independent grind and just the weirdness, still building an organic fan base, and then Mega Ran, who literally was rapping about video games that got licensed by Capcom.
Yeah.
And I'm following these people in 2011, 2012. It inspires me to put out a Skyrim rap on YouTube. Hadn't really put anything on YouTube before. It got like 10,000 views in a week.
Woo.
And then like my inbox started blowing up, and I started getting shared by all these video game music, like entertainment outlets.
Dude, that's like so crazy, the power of like social media and the internet. Like, I feel like a lot of musicians, like in particular, probably not so much hip hop, but like jazz musicians, like they kind of like run from social media and like use it in the wrong way. So it's just great to see like that you can literally be like a fan of someone, and then just because of one post that you post on social media gives you some sort of notoriety and like leverage to end up being in a position to meet these people and like work with them. That's amazing. it's and that's like the truth. Prince Dykes is on here. Prince we grew up together. His mom taught me in preschool. Prince, man, I need to actually talk to you because it'd be great to have you on the show. He has a show called The Investor Show, and I think his company is Royal Financial Group. But he's got a great YouTube channel. He like interviews people like Warren Buffett, and he comes from our little country town, Waynesboro. So he's crushing it. So it'd be good to get you to some investment advice. We could do a show. Maybe like investment advice geared towards people who don't make a steady paycheck, like artists, people who are independent contractors, basically. So that's a great idea, man. If you got the time, I know you're super busy, but good to see you on here, Prince. Anyways, sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good, man.
Yeah. So
It's a lot.
Yeah.
That story is always longer than I think it is. Because I interned. I mean, I emailed Mega Ran in 2011 when he was on tour with MC Chris, and asked him if he took interns. And it's funny because like we tour and do tracks together now and all this stuff. And the first time I was with him at a show was at MagFest in 2016, which is really what kind of set a lot of things off for me.
mm,
In this hotel room, and like, hey, do you remember when I emailed you and asked you if you took interns like 5 years ago? But yeah, that's basically what happened. From the Skyrim thing, I started releasing content, and a buddy of mine who I met on the internet after the Skyrim thing, an MC who goes by Richie Branson, he's doing all this crazy stuff now. But he had actually come off of getting screwed over from a record label situation and just released a Star Wars mixtape called Cold Republic based on the soundtrack for the MMO The Old Republic. We started emailing each other and stuff, and he started releasing a track a week and it was called Otaku Tuesdays. And that was something I was thinking about doing but didn't have time to do because I was a first year MBA student. And that blew him up in this niche subgenre of hip hop. He toured with MC Chris, and that summer I started releasing a song a week. I had some internships not work out, and you had to have an internship. So I walked into the grad school office and asked them if I could build an analytics project off of this content I'm creating. They said, yeah. So I just trended out, and I released. It was supposed to be for the summer, but I ended up doing it for like 6 months, and just went off of requests. I rapped about, I think, the anime Bleach, and people started requesting that I rap about all these other games and anime, and I just started doing it.
dude, that's man. Like
it built, you know.
I mean, I'm older than you, so like, you know, like I just had no idea of like I've been using social media wrong for so long, but just like yeah, like and particularly like there are people in the hip hop arena that are doing that, releasing a track a week. Like I think honestly, somebody with your talent, like you could release a song a day. Like if you want it, like if you really like. Just like, okay, I'm going to just, like, take these 2 or 3 hours, because I'm sure you already got, like, tons of beats that you haven't used, you know what I mean? Like, and then just, like, literally all it takes is you and a computer, and you can basically release a track a day.
Yeah, there's got to be some strategy with it, but Russ is probably the best example of that right now. Like, Russ is a superstar now, and he did that more effectively than I think anybody I could think of, releasing a stream of content, tons of albums, and when he got signed, he was able to prove that his stuff on its own was generating hundreds of thousands of dollars a year by itself. So he was able to negotiate a partnership. That's a whole different thing. That's how I started taking music seriously, though. I always was going to play trombone, and then once I really started taking hip hop seriously, I started trying to find a way to take trombone seriously again. And, you know, fast forward a few years and we're here.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, just to kind of talk about that a little bit, I'm going to do the same thing. Like, I need to just figure out a way to do it, but I'm going to, like, have, you know, like a jazz release, like music, just constantly. Because I think we're in the like wrong mindset of basically, all right, man, like go on social media. Hey guys, I'm playing at the 123 club from 8 to 11. Like, come through or whatever. And then it's like that's like all you're posting about is your gigs. And then like people are like, why should I like? Why should? Because we live in a society now where people need to like get stuff like. You know, like the days of like you printing, you know, 5,000 CDs and like selling them to people is over. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like people can literally go on Spotify and like listen to your music for free, like, or for $9.99 a month or whatever, you know? So yeah, I think people need like a lot of content from people in order to like feel like they can really roll with you. Like they feel like they're connected to you, as opposed to you just like asking for, hey, here's my product, like, buy it. It's kind of like people need to, like, feel like they're a part first. I think, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's no people don't really buy from you unless they're invested in you some kind of way.
Yeah.
Like at these anime and video game conventions I play at, like we sell so much stuff because everybody there like knows who you are and they're invested in what you're doing, and that means they want to like have a piece of it. Like they don't even care about listening to the CD. They want to say that they bought something and have it as like a token of their fandom and their connection to the art that you're putting out. That matters a lot more now, especially with an independent, up-and-coming artist in any genre, than really how good your art is. Because I've talked to a bunch of people about this, but what I guess one of the three big lessons I've learned, because I'd say I could boil everything down to three lessons that like I've stuck with, but one of them is that it's really a lot more about your audacity and your connection, your audacity to actually try to connect with people at the expense of you making art that you might not make money on. That matters more than how talented you actually are in every category, as far as your exposure to certain things and certain people beyond the local level, especially in the field of hip-hop. There are tons of people who can wrap circles around anybody who just like rap in the cypher in their garage and maybe come to a local show every so often, but don't know anything about promotion, don't know anything about marketing, don't know how to strategize a release, and all that stuff matters. And I think really the translation between that and jazz as a guy who's like heavily in both worlds on the local level, especially now, is just a lot of jazz musicians I know really, they come and they play and they connect with people on a personal level and then never really make the connection of, hey, all these people who I know who think I'm awesome, I can connect these dots in a better way than I'm doing now.
Yeah, man, it's like an elitist kind of thing. Like, because somebody who studies jazz, like, out of any music, I think, is like, well, I mean, hip hop can be the same way, like, because just the amount of like study that you have to do. Like, if you're trying to be like flow like you do, like lyrically, like most people can't just do that. Like, you have to listen to a lot of music, and you know, so it's the same way. Like, people put so many hours in the practice rooms, like hours and hours, and so they feel like they're like entitled because I know so much about music that like I'm great. And it's like, yeah, you are great, but like, who cares? Like, the market is going to tell you like how great your music is.
Yeah, I don't know if I've told you this story. My senior year of college, Beth Gottlieb, who's Danny Gottlieb's wife. Danny Gottlieb was ridiculously recorded, prolific jazz drummer. She was the interim percussion instructor at Alabama my senior year, and we had a jazz concert where they're friends with he's passed away since then, but they were friends with Lou Soloff, the trumpet player for Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Oh yeah.
You know, really prolific guy. So they were able to get him to Alabama to play with the jazz ensemble for the Low. And it's like Danny and Beth and their kids, who are ridiculous, playing, and then the jazz ensemble, and it's this cooking concert. Auditorium's packed. Lou's on a wave, and he starts pointing at everybody. People just pointing at random people to solo when it was supposed to just be him. I got pointed out. I still don't think I've ever played a solo that was that good, and that was when I was playing consistently and practicing all the time. So Lou calls the intermission early, and pulls me into the green room, and he asks me what I'm going to do. I tell him I'm about to get an MBA. He's like, well, I just want to tell you could like not finish school. He was like, let me preface this by saying I know a ton of trombone players who can play circles around you. Technically, they can play circles around you, but you can move to New York and be very successful as a jazz trombone player right now because you sell who you are and you sell what you play so well. And he told me, he was like, it emanates off me. And one of the wishes that I regret is that I was hoping that one day when I'm more successful in the industry, I could find him and thank him for telling me that. Because
that's great.
My life.
That's
when he passed away.
Yeah.
But that lesson to what you're saying, it's like it doesn't. You can know everything and be the best player, but you have to be able to sell yourself, sell what you're actually playing in the moment and connect with people, and that's really more important than anything else.
Dude, I feel it the same way. It's like, man, like there are so many dudes that could play the trombone better than us, but like they're probably like on the couch right now, like playing PlayStation because they don't have gigs. I'm just being real. Like, I mean, you have to be good. You have to be good at. You can't like suck. You can't suck and then like expect people to call you for gigs. But it's like, man, like there's so much other things to it. Kyle Crawford says, "What's good, Kadesh Flow, baby? Roll Tide."
Oh, what's up, Kyle? What's happening, man? Roll Tide, bro.
So anyways, man, you were talking about your relationship with Mega Ran, and so this is one of the tracks that I decided to actually play because it's a little bit newer, right? Mm-hmm. And so Church is the track that I chose. So tell us a little bit about that and like.
So Ran actually taught me a really huge lesson with this song, ironically, because he has a pretty successful Patreon. Patreon is a crowdfunding site. It's a good way to engage with people who really, really support you. They subscribe basically to you. You send them exclusive content. So he releases stuff. He releases like 2, 3, 4, 5 songs a month, depending. And he's at the point where he gets a certain amount of money per song. Mm-hmm. But he releases these songs, and he'll release them early on Patreon, get feedback, explain like how he made them, and those guys get the early cuts, and then he'll release it broader based on the feedback, and that like kind of determines how he pushes the song. So he came back, and I was kind of on the fence about Patreon before this, but he shot me this beat. It was a stupid good Mario flip, right? For, like, I think King Koopa's Dungeon is the sample.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, just flex on the track, man. I know you and I aren't really into doing that a whole lot. We're both kind of talking about issues and life and fun stuff. But, just flex on the track, sing his verse. So, I spazzed out a little bit. And
yeah, dude, the Poseidon, what is it? Like you said, you're like Poseidon, Trident.
Find out this year, Renegades, Deep Water, Oceanic Flows, I manipulate.
Yeah, when I heard, I was like, oh my God. Ah! Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was killing. So, anyways, this is Mega Ran and Kadesh Flow Church. Leave in the comments what you guys think. Was Kadesh flexing or not? Let's see. All right, here's Church.
Heavy set ghost. Shout out to Styles P. You can find me ripping MIC since 9-3. Women black like the MIBs. Don't mind me, MCs. You ain't in my league. You gotta be yet another caliber to be considered a challenger. Post up on most ducks, mimicking parature. Combos of lies when they hit it, embarrass you. You gon' make me really slip and get out of character. Back in the days, I was shy and embarrassed. Now what I write in a tablet has got me flying to Paris, and that's whoa. Rocking the flyers of fabrics until I lie in the casket. Remember, I am a classic. Let's go. Mega taking your breath away. Soon as you press and play, you'll be in ecstasy. So I'ma spit those bars over these beats so hard that they remind you of freshman day. Used to want the double XL, now I'm a 3X. Used to call me idiot, now they call me genius. I ain't with the BS, you see it and you believe it. And your arms too short to box you like a T-Rex. Fat boy with the retro tees. Got the whole crowd spazzing like they just OD. Rep your team, just recognize that we running it up. Providing the punishment, you deny but you loving it, huh? Presidential steeds on my Jack Tunney. They see me on the move, so they act funny. No plan, trying to get up on my grown man who else in the state fund the honeymoon with rap money. Yeah. Spit game, rip lanes, dudes are confused like bloods at a Knicks game. Shoot the lights out, I'ma book a flight now just to bump YG in front of the White House. I never said I'm the greatest, I never said that I made it. I said I'm only a player that came in here to make a statement. I don't care where I'm rated, I'm correct with the payment. I bring it to you like a waiter. Dion, beyond, you a peon. You ain't a rapper, finally something we agree on. Undefeated rapper leaders, don't mention me with anyone that figs unless you put greater than between it. If you're scared, go to church. I solemnly swear that I've been a problem, homie. And if you dare spit that verse, you read it, I eat it, and I delete it, homie. If you scared, go to church. Mega Ran, Kadesh Flow, the best flow, you know. And if you dare spit that, you probably should get committed or maybe consider quitting. What up?
Work while I eat and I can't sleep, cause while I sleep somebody's getting ahead of me. They try to hang but they're falling behind steadily, heavily, relying every minute that I get to breathe on drive that survives despite every job that's rescued me from struggle, rapping poverty, stricken, scared of the enemies that I've gotta be getting theoretically in the studio and dropping these disses, hoping the proper attention will lead to spots of convictions. I help me top competition with any contender who's thinking they can knock at me. Listen, I've dealt with surface lurking, but I'm never moccasin bitten, steadily cooking. You can smell it, that's a rock with the written. Guess I'm feeling myself if the kid could surmise a guess. Challenges get exploded the way a TIE fighter gets one face and the Falcon Hans gunner yelling, yes, it's great. Listen, homie, I don't mean to get this way. I just zone and then I lyrically elevate. Dangerous and heinous, it's in bison when he levitates. Poseidon and Trident fighting Odyssean renegades. Deep water, oceanic flows, I manipulate. I feel Sarlacc hunger, someone's getting ate up. I throw plates and stack numbers, lift your weight up. The dream is getting stronger, yo, this isn't made up. I won't get any younger, so I hit it straight.
If you're scared, go to church. I solemnly swear that I've been a problem, homie. And if you dare spit that verse, you read it, I eat it, and I delete it, homie. If you scared, go to church. Marcus and Kadesh flow, the best flow, you know. And if you dare spit that, you probably should get committed and maybe consider quitting. What up?
Yeah. If you scared, go to church. All right. So that was cool. Man. All right. I got to get myself together. The beat goes so hard, man.
Appreciate it, man. Yon Lee, man. You can find him pretty easily online.
Awesome, man. Yeah, so you were saying Mega's going to be here March 21st?
23rd.
23rd, sorry.
Yep. At Riot Room with Samus, who is blowing up right now. And she's an incredible young black femc Cornell PhD student working on our dissertation while touring, and they're touring Europe right now. And they're going to be with a guy named Mike Joshua, who's in a couple huge like European outfits, but he's also an independent, a super like nerdy MC, and I'm on that show as well. So that's going to be a dope situation.
Yeah, cool, man. So, if you're watching the feed right now, be sure to like the Ask a Jazz Dude page. Be sure to share it. That's how we get more people involved. Love to see some questions still. I haven't seen any questions. People are just commenting, which is cool. But if you got any questions for Kadesh, go ahead and start putting those in the comments. So you and Megan Rand are founders of the Nerdy People of Color Collective. So talk a little bit about, did I say that right?
Yeah,
okay.
Nerdy People of Color Collective. I would not, I guess technically I'm a co-founder because I'm a core member. But it's really Rand and then, bringing a few of us together. So the whole purpose of that initially, like Rand, if just a little bit about nerdcore. Nerdcore is a very I love this subgenre of hip hop. It's really about rapping about sci-fi and tech and video games and anime and everything that nerds really care about. All of this stuff is going mainstream right now, which is very convenient for a lot of us. But one thing that is easily noticeable if you look at early nerdcore is there are like no black people, no people of color at all. Not really any women. Rand is the first MC really to be in nerdcore. Actually sounds like hip hop. He's like a West Philly cat, if I'm not mistaken, or North Philly, but he's a Philly cat. Really, East Coast style. He's got bars for days and references and flips and punches for days. Who's rapping about video games and licensed by Capcom and a lot of stuff. And he really saw his rise as an opportunity for him to open the door, kind of knock through some of the glass ceiling,
right?
For nerds who are MCs who are black and Asian and Hispanic and what have you. And there are a few of us he saw online, including myself. He pulled together to put together the Nerdy People of Color Collective. So there's a lot of people in the general network now because the purpose of it is to create a creative space for POC creators who are nerds in a lot of different areas. But the primary group is mostly MCs, with the exception of Xavier Woods, who's a WWE superstar. He's in the Nerdy People of Color Collective. And Eric Medina, who is a designer. He owns Nerds Clothing, which actually does a lot of licensing for the WWE. There's a like strong wrestling connection.
Wow.
But otherwise, there's Richie Branson, who's a rapper who he made the beat that blew up a rapper who went by Bone out of San Antonio that L.A. Reid signed. Richie and his partner Solar Slim ended up getting screwed over and the management deal signing situation. He ended up starting to rap about video games, built his own tune from that. He started coding. He founded a thing called Otaku Gang, where he released a thing called Life After Death Star, which was Notorious B.I.G. lyrics and Star Wars sampled beats. That went super viral. He was coding like Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z and the Street Fighter, and Bleacher Report hired him to start making content. Now he's a lead designer for Bleacher Report's social media team, but he's also touring actively. So that's Richie. There's Samus, who I was talking about earlier. She's signed to Don Giovanni, which is typically a very political punk indie label, but they signed her, and she's been making a lot of moves. Her last album, Pieces in Space, got a really great review from Pitchfork, and she's making everybody writes about her stuff when she releases anything, like NPR and all these people. And there's a bunch of us. There's a great young Asian rapper who goes by Shubzilla out of Seattle, who literally was a hip hop dancer until I think she got an injury and she was like, well, I can't keep dancing. She just started rapping. It was like she's been rapping for like 4 years and it's touring and stuff. A lot of really dope people in this collective, and we just kind of build off of each other, and we travel around the country doing these conventions. We basically show up and really kind of make our presence known at these conventions, because one of us or multiple members of the collective will be main stage performers. Those who aren't will end up side stage performing, and we'll, like Magfest this year, for example, we had 2 main stage performers in the collective, a few side stages. Like Saturday at Magfest was really kind of us across a bunch of stages.
Wow.
We've got 3 or 4 of us who have official showcase performances at South by Southwest this year, including myself. We're just kind of growing, really trying to grow and build an empowerment center for people who haven't felt like they had an entryway in, which is kind of what we felt like for a while. So, we'll be at these conventions, and there will be young, black, super nerds with bars, and they'll basically say, we started doing this because we saw y'all doing it. We're like, oh, I could actually rap about, Naruto or Yu Yu Hakusho or something, and it's okay, and like folks aren't gonna hate on me for it,
Yeah, because man, like it was always the case. We got a question here from Sam Wiseman. He's saying, let's see if I can pull it up. Okay, do you have any concerns about hip hop entering academia, a la jazz did in the 50s?
Yes, absolutely, I do. But I think hip hop is both. I think some of it's intentional, but I think there's an aspect of hip hop that's kind of being protected inadvertently by how crass some of it is, in like a kind of a beautiful sense. Like the N-word is a good example. I think that process is taking longer because it's still, in a lot of senses, even though it's like dominating charts, it's still kind of a black space. It doesn't mean there are no black people in it. But I think it's going to take longer, but I'm still really concerned about it. Coming into academia, being sterilized like other, historically black music forms, and, everything that, basically becoming gentrified like anything else.
Yeah. Man, like we could do, a whole show, like, because, like, I'm in jazz academia, but, like, also, like, I see a lot of problems with it. So it's like, yeah, I think the difference with jazz and hip-hop is that, like, there's people that still don't consider hip-hop or rap as music. Like, oh, rap, it's not music, blah, 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 blah. But I think the people that are doing it don't care about the recognition of those people. Like, all they care about is, like, whoever's rolling with them, like your collective or the anime crowd or, whatever, as opposed to when jazz, like, when it was coming up and getting more popularity, it was kind of like not seen as music either. It's like party music, but then like people were like, this is art, and like we want you guys to respect this. So I think that's how like it got into the academia thing, is like it being like some sort of art, because these people were, not like Miles Davis. People not like Miles Davis. He didn't care. He was like, whatever. Like I'm just gonna play. Like if you like it, cool. If you don't. But I think to like gain some sort of like that this music is actually artistic is why it came into academia, as opposed to like hip hop. I think the culture of that is a little bit different, where it's like, yeah, like it's art, or it could be just ignorant. Like, some people that are like, like Migos, they're like, people like our stuff because it's like they don't have to think about anything when they're listening to it. It's just, so it's like they're not gonna want to be like having that music in, for certain reasons why you said too, like because of the content or whatever. But like I saw some stuff on Facebook where this girl was like analyzing like Kendrick's flow and rhythm patterns, like as opposed to Biggie, and like like analyzing, like rhythmically, and like this is duple meter and like blah 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 blah, or, I'm like, yeah. Honestly,
that's the first thing. My advisor at Alabama is a guy named Andrew Dewar. He travels all around the world, and like I still don't know how Alabama got him as a professor. It was like such a blessing to sit under him. But he studied under Anthony Braxton, and he, one of the things, I did an independent study with him, and it was like exploring hip hop and its intersection with comics, and and video games, and like how those things related to Kandinsky's theories about composition being more like combinations of things in the future versus actually pushing one particular art medium forward.
Okay.
Well, I rapped a lot on the project, and the first thing he said to me, he was like, there's so much you're doing metrically that's really just unreal. And he doesn't listen to a lot of hip-hop, and I think that was the first time I really saw somebody who was very highly intellectual, highly academic, and a great musician actually like call out how impressive a rapper's like rhythm is. And it was me at an amateur level, so that that really turned me on to something there. But to your point about the perception of it, even when it is in an academic space, a lot of times it seems like people don't know what to do with it. And an example of that is really when Harvard had Black Thought in, and he just dropped this ridiculous acapella, just oh my God, just, at Harvard, and it's just like they're trying at one of the highest level academic institutions in the world. They are trying to do, because they recognize how important hip hop is, but they still very obviously don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And my one of my mentors at Alabama, he was one of the editors for Yale's anthology of hip hop, and they sent it to him because he's a Pulitzer-nominated poet. But he shot the intro over to me just to see what I thought about it. He was like, "Is this like, are they trying too hard with this? Like, what? Because it's a space."
Oh, Harvard is trying too hard.
Or it was Yale in this
case. Yeah. Okay.
He was like, I don't. It just is a space that I think academics aren't sure what to do with still. And I think that's good. I think it's good that it has such an impact, and people don't really know how to handle all of it still.
Yeah, so it's like, we got about 10 minutes here. Yeah, so speaking of jazz and academia, we have a show coming up.
Yes.
Jazz and Hip Hop and Academia. And Friday at the Granada, and it's sponsored by KU, the African American Studies Department there. So it's just like a talk. I think that's okay. But like, yeah, like trying to teach, like rap. I don't know. It just seems like whatever. So like, we got this show coming up. It's this thing we're doing called Brass and Bougie that basically started over a couple of drinks at the Blue Room. And so I want to kind of give people a taste of like what they're gonna get. And so one of the songs so basically it's the music, your music, and then Kemet, the Phantom's music, who he couldn't be here unfortunately, but and then I did arrangements for it, and it's my big band, so it's kind of a mesh of like jazz and hip hop together. And so I'm gonna do a talk. about, you know, the connection between jazz and hip hop. It's like a 30-minute talk, and then we're just gonna play, which would be cool. The concert is free. I'll be posting stuff all week about it. Free. But this tune that I'm gonna play is one of my favorites of yours, and it's like great content, subject matter. It's post-racial.
It's also exclusive because it's not out yet.
Oh,
Yeah,
so can I?
Oh yeah, you can totally play it.
Okay. Yeah, so you're hearing it here. I think you. Okay, I'll get to that in a second. Well, here's post-racial.
DOJ indications, race or race crime is how whatever race you debated. Seems like only with blackness is the way that we stand. And no regaining coming up on spot that they indicated. They crime is more based on poverty, related education, and environment on any level based in the races. Making us racist and keep us on the labeling basis. They don't hate us and not believe them. Problem is racism is stuff that they try to act like they right deletion. Like we're beyond the fake institutional model features don't exist that we make up racist problems and life and feature. Check the real estate history when you buy a lease it. Research the home loans and out into the 90s. Egypt really based on race. Families in the crime arenas. Do you remember crime as race on race? Case by case and not black on black and black superiority. Look, I'm not trying to say no face. It's just saying showing what you're saying is factually incorrect. I won't inundate you with numbers and percentages lyrically, but now if it's ultra actually disrespect. But I'm like racial fucking hurting you. They keep getting school funding, but approved through prisons to the forest too. Yeah. So how you gonna say that we're post-racial? So how you gonna say that we're post-racial? So how you gonna say that we're post-racial? Make some noise for Matt, Ryan, and Nick real fast. For the record, black Americans are sick of gang violence too. Sick of kids most of them insane fights in school. Want to give the youth confidence to make massive moves. Know what groups you accuse of painting race trying to do. Spend more time on that than protesting all the cops. Make sure little Marcus isn't posted on the block. Teach him so he's less likely to grow up and get shot. But lots of privilege, he keeps controlling all the guns. It's like positive effort never flow into your son. Just the bits that Thank you. That's called post-racial. I'm Kadesh Flow. There's a lot more of me coming.
Yeah, how about that ending? All right. We're definitely post-racial after that ending.
All right, so that was Kadesh Flow, his tune that hasn't been released yet, post-racial. So, anyways, man, we got to wrap it up here. It's been a blast talking to you, man. We could keep going, but we got an hour time limit. So yeah, man, just tell people you got anything to plug, like what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. So everything for me is at Kadesh Flow or /Kadesh Flows. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud, Patreon. If you want to throw any support my way, hit me up on patreon.com/Kadesh Flow. Lots of exclusive content coming by way of that, and I really appreciate it. The only thing, I did an EP with some buddies at MagFest this year in the hotel room between shows and parties. It's very surprising to me that it's come together this way because I've been working on albums for like 2 years that will also be coming out later this year. This thing, I am going to do an early kind of pre-order kickoff release at my official showcase set at South by Southwest.
Woo!
On March 17th. And it's looking like that's going to come out on March 23rd, and I'll probably release it physically at the Mega Ran show at Riot Room on March 23rd. So that's what I got going on, or some of the stuff I got going on. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, man, it's been a blast. Thank you for doing this, man. And yeah, follow him. Just got it right there at Kadesh Flow. If you want to cop that track, there's a link for it on Spotify, the Mega Ran Kadesh Flow track, Church. So I don't know where else it is. That's the only place I saw it.
Church is, I think it's just on Spotify and YouTube right now. There's a remix of it that Mega Ran did featuring Cisco, actually, on his album Extra Credit. And I don't rap on that. I'm just playing trombone on it. Like the synth hits are actually my trombone mixed as synth hits. But Cisco is on that track. And that's on the album Extra Credit, which you get from Mega Ran, like everywhere you can think of buying albums.
Nice. So yeah, this has been episode 7
Bruh.
of the Ask a Jazz Dude show. They have not shut us down yet. We're still going. We're still going to go strong. So we'll see you next week. I'm not sure who the guest is. I think it may be Michael Schultz. I'm not sure. I'll have to look. But anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you're listening on KKFI, make sure you go over to Sam Wiseman's show that is starting right this second, Jazz Afternoon with Sam Wiseman. You can listen to that on kkfi.org. So thanks, guys, for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Squad.